All right, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to this algebra tutorial. In this tutorial, we are going to learn how to calculate percent change using Google Sheets. Google Sheets is a spreadsheet software provided by Google. The Microsoft equivalent is Microsoft Excel. So whether you're using Google Sheets in your real life or Microsoft Excel, the formulas are still the same. So what I want to teach you here is how to analyze real-world problems using mathematics. There are 4 principal things we're going to learn today. The first of which is to calculate percent change increases and decreases. We'll learn how to calculate percent of type problems. We'll learn how to work with discount situations and markup situations in the real world. And to help facilitate these computations, instead of using a TI graphing calculator or necessarily pencil and paper, we will ask Google Sheets to help us with these calculations. So I'll be showing you how to do all of that here in this video, and then in the live stream that we do later this week. So let's dive right in. Here's the first situation you'll encounter: a percent change increase. So in these types of problems, a smaller value, A, becomes a larger value, B. It is increasing. We'll talk about what the general formula is there. Whenever you do percent change problems, the answer you come up with in a computational way will be a decimal. And so you have to convert it to a percent by multiplying that decimal by 100, which is just the same as moving the decimal point over 2 places to the right. Okay, an example. A package of toilet paper rolls originally cost $24, but goes up in price and now costs $54. What is the percent change? This is an example from the real world that's happening today. There's a lot of price gouging going on with toilet paper, and so these prices are real, and they're actually understating some of the price gouging. Okay, so a complementary situation to percent change increases would be percent change decreases. In this example, a larger value, A, becomes a smaller value, B. It is decreasing in value. We'll look at the general formula for that, and remember the pointer on converting your answer from a decimal to a percent. Okay, in the real world, you might find a percent change decrease in water evaporation. Assume a glass of water used to measure 42 fluid ounces, but after evaporation measures 21 fluid ounces. What is the percent change? Okay, in the next set of problems, you'll be working with percent of questions. Some questions give you 2 values and ask you to find what percent one of the values is compared to the other. And this usually comes in 2 forms. The first is A is what percent of B. The other type of problem will say, what percent of A is B? We'll learn how to do both of those. Here's a type 1 example. 48 grams is what percent of 144 grams? Second type of problem. What percent of 39 kilometers is 156 kilometers? Now we're getting into the real world. So here are percent problems with taxes, and we're going to focus here on discounts. In the real world, you will sometimes have a coupon for some percent off grocery items or a limited time offer to buy a car for some percent less than the ticket price, the tag price. These pricing schemes are called discounts, and they're usually designed to incentivize you, the shopper, the consumer, to go and purchase something. In most real-world cases, you must add tax to know the true total. So we'll talk about what the general formula is for discounts with tax. And secondly, you have percent problems with taxes that involve marking something up. So you've got markdowns and you've got markups. These are markups. In the real world, sometimes the price of something rises, such as the value of a home, okay? Or the price of something like a t-shirt. These are called markups. So just remember, in most real world cases, you must add tax to know the true total. And so we'll look at general formula for markups with tax. Here's an example of a discount. You find a Brookshire's coupon for 25% off a box of Golden Grams. You go to the store and find the tag price is $3.75. The tax rate is 8.25% in Texas. How much will you have to pay for the cereal at the register? And here is a markup example. You bought a house for $125,000 and you want to sell it for 50% more than you paid for it. The capital gains tax rate on the sale of the home is 30%. Suddenly, a buyer shows up. If the buyer is going to pay your taxes, how much money will they need to give you to complete the transaction? So you see a real world situation that you might encounter in your real life once you get out of school. Okay, so here's the assignment. You've got two assignments this week. One of them is a practice assessment in CUDA, and one of them is a mastery assessment in CUDA. The practice assessment in CUDA will be assigned on Monday and due by Tuesday at 3 p.m. The mastery assessment will be assigned on Wednesday and due by Friday at 3 p.m. In addition to doing the CUDA assignment on CUDA Works, I want you to complete a little project for me. I want you to use Google Sheets to show the work that you do. And this is really useful. There's a lot of things that we teach you that people will say, I'm never going to use this in my real life. What you will learn using Google Sheets will help you every day in the business world. And regardless of whether you go into education or you become a veterinarian or you become a cosmetologist or an astronaut, Google Sheets and spreadsheet software like Microsoft Excel will be a part of your life. So learning how to use it will help you in your life. Even if you go into the Army, you're very likely to encounter a spreadsheet. I was recently listening to a podcast with a Navy SEAL, and the podcast host, Joe Rogan, was asking this Navy SEAL about their life, their day-to-day life. And this Navy SEAL said, it's really not what you think most of the time. Most of the time, I'm working with spreadsheets. I'm typing in formulas into Excel. I'm creating PowerPoint presentations or Google Slide presentations. And so stuff is going to be useful in a broad way. Okay, so that is kind of the broad overview of what we're going to do today. So let me exit this full screen show. And let's get down into the nitty gritty of what we're doing. Here we go. Let's take a look at percent change increases. In percent change increases, a smaller value A becomes a larger value B, and we call this increasing. And so we want to see the general formula for this. Okay. The general formula for percent change increase is A times 1 plus the rate, okay, equals B. And actually, what we're trying to find is the rate. We're trying to locate the rate. So what you end up doing to get the rate by itself is you end up distributing the A to both of these values. And then you have A plus AR equals B. Okay, so then you subtract A from both sides. And you have AR equals B minus A. And then you divide by A. So you end up with R equals B minus A over A. And the way that I used to conceive of this without a formula was I thought of B as the new value, and I thought of A as the old value. So it was new minus old. Divided by old. Okay. Once you get R, you need to multiply R by 100 because R is going to be a decimal. It might have a whole number in it, but it'll be a decimal. It'll be 0.37 or 1.62 or whatever. And you have to multiply that by 100 in order to get the percent. So remember, this is a note. It's important. Note, R will be a decimal. So you have to convert it to a percent. You have to multiply by 100. So it becomes a percent. Okay. And in all of this, I feel like I should somewhere note the percent symbol is right here. It's this symbol here. On your keyboard, that's Shift 5. You'll find that percent symbol. Okay. That's just a sidebar. Something you need to know. Okay, looks like a lot of math. It's really easy. Let's take a look at this percent change increase example, the toilet paper example. A package of toilet paper originally cost $24, but goes up in price and now costs $54. What is the percent change? This is the A value. This is the B value. And percent change is really the R value, after you've multiplied it by 100. So we'll write 24 times 1 plus the rate equals 54. Okay. Remember, 24 is A, R is the percent as a decimal, and 54 is B. This is the old value, 24, and B is the new value, 54. So remember, we'll distribute, multiply the 24. And so 24 times 1 is just 24. And then 24 times R is 24R. That equals 54. So step 1, okay, subtract 24 from both sides. And then you've got 24R equals 54 minus 24, which is just 30. And then we divide both sides by 24. And we get R equals 30 over 24. Now, 30 over 24, the greatest common factor for both of these would be 6. 30 divided by 6 is 5. 24 divided by 6 is 4. So R equals 5 over 4. So now we convert 5 over 4 into a decimal. We'll take 5 and we'll divide by 4. 4 goes into 5 one time. 1 times 4 is 4. 5 minus 4 is 1. Now we have to create a decimal point and invent a 0. 4 goes into 10 2 times. 2 times 4 is 8. 10 minus 8 is 2. Invent another 0. 4 goes into 20 5 times. 5 times 4 is 20. There's no remainder. Okay? So you have 1.25. So what you have to do here just to get this into a percent is multiply 1.25 times 100. Okay, which is just the same thing as taking 1.25 and moving the decimal point over 2 places to the right. So the percent would be 125%. Okay, this is your answer. 125%. We'll look at how to do that in Google Sheets. So, how do you do this same problem here in Google Sheets? Let's first go to Google Sheets. And the way you get to Google Sheets is you go up to a browser, and you really should be doing this on a computer. It might be possible to do Google Sheets using the Google Sheets app on your phone, but you really need a keyboard. So you go to sheets.google.com. Click enter. When you get there, you might have to sign in. And sign in, make sure you're signing in using your school email when you do that. And then go down here to start a new spreadsheet and click this button for blank. Okay. So for untitled spreadsheet, remember we're going to do last name, comma, first name. And then we'll title it practice assessment or mastery assessment. And then we'll put the date using this format. Okay. So Here's this first problem that we're working on. This is question number 1. Okay, let's go back and look at it. A package of toilet paper originally cost $24, but goes up in price and now costs $54. What is the percent change? Okay, so let's do this. Let's go up here to question 1. We're going to type in original toilet paper cost. Okay, so the original cost was $24. The new toilet paper cost is $54. Okay, so here's where the calculation gets into effect. So if we want to calculate the percent change, what we want to do is go into a cell where we want to calculate the percent change and put an equal sign. The equal sign is what turns on Excel's calculation engine. So you have to start this thing by putting the equal sign. All right. So remember, let me show this before I do it. Remember this part right here, that you take the new value, you subtract the old value, and then you divide by the old value. And then to turn it into a percent, you multiply it by 100. So we already know the answer is 125%, so we'll make sure we do this correctly. We're going to hit this equal sign, okay, to start the formula. And then we're going to open parentheses, because this is our numerator. We're going to do the new value. I just hit the up arrow key to get that, minus the old value. Close those parentheses, and then hit the slash key next to the shift key. Now you're working in the denominator, and you use the old value, or the original price. 1.25. And so the only thing we need to add to this formula is to multiply that result by 100. Okay, so maybe we could call this percent change decimal, and this is, as a percent, we just take this value here, 1.25, multiply it by 100. So click into a cell and put an equal sign, and then go up here, capture that value, do the multiplication symbol, which is Shift 8, that little asterisk, and multiply by 100. And it's 125%. Now, Excel actually has, or Google Sheets actually has, a cool little tool. If you just had this decimal value and you wanted to express it as a percent, you could click on that decimal value and then come up here to Google Sheets up in the top place and click Format as Percent. Okay, and you see it automatically formatted it as a percent. All right, so either way works. So there we've done the work in Excel. And the benefit of having done it this way is now you have a little program where you can type in any value you want for the starting value, and it will automatically compute the percent change. Okay, so this is really cool. You could change the new price as well, and it will compute the percent change for you. All right, so this is why using Microsoft Excel or Google Sheets or a spreadsheet software is extremely useful. All right, so that is actually what I want you to do for each of your problems. I want you to kind of work it out like this. All right. There's all kinds of cool stuff you can do with Google Sheets. One thing I like to do is to put my work in brackets. So here's something you could do. You could take it like this and then go up here to this box and click on borders. And then you can put a border around your work. Makes it look a little bit better. Okay. You could even give, pardon me, you could even give it titles like item and total. So there's a lot you can do. It starts to look more like a business school problem than a math problem. All right. And you see that with Google Sheets, we were able to get the same answer we got here, only it looked a lot cleaner than this mathematics, but it's the same mathematics. So we just did a problem for percent increase. Now we'll do a problem for percent decrease. Now percent decrease, just another side of the coin for percent increase. But here's the general formula for this. You have some larger value A becoming a smaller value B. Now that would be A times 1 minus R equals B. Okay. So here you have A minus AR equals B. Subtract A from both sides. Now you have negative AR equals B minus A. You divide both sides by negative A. And you have R equals B minus A over negative A. And that would be your rate. Okay. It's actually not all that different from the formula we did before. Only this is a decreasing formula where the other one was an increasing formula. The only difference is this symbol here and what you give the A and the B value to. It looks a lot better in an example. A glass of water used to be 42 fluid ounces, but after evaporation is now 21 fluid ounces. What is the percent change? So here we start with 42 ounces. Okay. And we want to know what the percent change is. This is a decrease. So it's 1 minus R. And that equals 21 ounces. Okay, we'll just follow the rules here. Distribute. You got 42 minus 42R equals 21. Subtract 42 from both sides. Negative 42R equals, well, we're going to have to, because it's going to be a negative number, we're going to have to do some side work over here and do 42 minus 21 and just make the result negative. 2 minus 1 is 1. 4 minus 2 is 2. It's going to be a negative number. So this is negative 21. And now we divide by negative 42 like this. So let's look at 21 and 42. The greatest common factor for both of these would be 7. So we can simplify that fraction down. R equals negative 3 over negative 6. So R equals 3 over 6. So we already know that that means 0.5. R equals 0.5. Okay. If you multiply that by 100, it's the same thing as moving the decimal point over 2 places. And so this is a 50% decrease. Okay, so let's look at that example in Google Sheets. Question 2. Okay, this is the glass of water question. The original value is 42 fluid ounces. Okay. So the original value, 42. And then here's the new value. And it decreased down to 21. Okay, so we use Excel to help us calculate the percent change. And here's that formula. Equals, open parentheses, original value, or rather new value, minus old value, okay, divided by old value. So it says negative 0.5, all right? And so remember, you can use the feature in Excel or in Google Sheets that converts that to a percent by clicking that button. And you see that it says negative 50%. All right? That's the same thing as saying a 50% decrease. So this is how you would say it in English. And then in Google Sheets, it would put it as negative 50% in math. So it's minus 0.5 or it's minus 50%, or you could say a 50% decrease. And then if you wanted to put borders around all this, you could just highlight it, go up, click on the borders, and then click all borders. Make it look nicer. Okay, so I would really like your examples to look like this, to be formatted. You can even put the final answer in bold. Okay. Whatever. Just trying to get you to play a little bit with Google Sheets so you get to understand how to use this software. Okay. Percent of questions. Some questions give you 2 examples and ask you to find what percent of one of the values is compared to the other. And these come in 2 kind of flavors. The first flavor is A is what percent of B. So this language here, A is means equals, of means times. So A is what percent of B can be written A equals X times B. So if you wanted to get X by itself, and X is the percent, again, probably as a decimal, you would divide both sides by B. So you have X equals A over B. And that will likely be a decimal, and you have to multiply that by 100. Okay, what percent of A is B? Okay, so what percent of A is B? What percent of is the X times A equals B. So to get X by itself, we'll divide both sides by A, and you have X equals B over A. So in the first problem, we had X equals A over B. In the second problem, we had X equals B over A. These real world type problems always look better when you do a real example. So here's a real example. 48 grams is what percent of 144 grams? So 48 equals some percent of 144. Well, to get x by itself, we'll divide both sides by 144. Cancel, cancel. And so now we have x equals 48 over 144. We got to do greatest common factor here, and that would be 12. It might be 24, but we'll see. So let's see what that does. 48 divided by 12 is 4. 144 divided by 12 is 12. Yeah, you can divide more out. So we'll divide out of 4. And so x will equal 1 over 3. So 1/3. 1/3 is 33.333%, because this is equal to 0.3 repeating. All right, so if you have 0.333, you can move the decimal point over 2 places, and you'll have 33 1/3%. All right. So fairly easy to do mathematically. If we do this in Google Sheets, we're on now to question 3. Original value is 48 grams. And the new value is 144 grams. So let's calculate the percent change. We take the new value. Oops, we got to put in parentheses. Take the new value minus the old value and divide by the old value. Okay. Convert that to a decimal. It says it's a 200% increase. Let's go back to our work here and see if we can interpret what happened here. So we applied in the Google Sheets this original analysis to a different type of problem. Okay. And this reveals one of the most common misunderstandings that students come into, and which is it's not all the same formulas, right? So this isn't what we were asking for. This is correct that 144 is 200% of 48, but that's not the question. The question was 48 is what percent of 144? All right. So let's ask ourselves, how would we type that into Google Sheets? So this doesn't work, right? So let's put back original value, 48, and our final value, our new value, is 144. What was the question we were asked? We were asked 48 grams is what percent of 144 grams? And so what we ended up with was X equals, or the percent as a decimal equals 48 over 144. Okay, so you got to think about what you're asking Excel or Google Sheets to do for you. So the question is, what percent of the new value is the old value? That's the question we have to do. So we'll say that the percent, we go in here and type equals. And what we want to do, if you look back at the work we did by hand, is we divided the original value by the new value. Okay. So let's try that way in Google Sheets. Equals original value divided by new value. Now we're getting the answer we had hoped to get. So remember, just because you're working in Google Sheets doesn't mean that everything you do is going to be the same way. And again, we can just convert it to a percent, and it converts it to a percent. Right? If you want to reduce the number of decimal places, you can come up here and click decrease decimal places. And what it will do is reduce it down to the tenths place. You could even go down further, reduce it, round it to a whole number. Okay. So I promise you, if this seems superfluous, you say, I just assume do it on paper. Don't do that. Because the purpose of the assignment is really to give you an introduction to Google Sheets, so you just learn to start playing with it. You know, if Google Sheets is really new to you and you're finding that you're having a lot of trouble with this, give me a ring, and I can actually get in on a session with you in your computer and show you how to do it. But it's really something that you should master by the time you get out of school, because this is the kind of stuff you're going to be working with in the real world every single day. As a teacher, I use Google Sheets and Microsoft Excel extensively. I would say it's the primary thing that I do. And so that was the case in every job I had prior to being a teacher as well, always working with spreadsheets. All right. So here's that type 2 example. What percent of 39 kilometers is 156 kilometers? Okay, what percent can be translated as X of is times 39 is equals, and then 156. So mathematically, this is really easy. You've got X times 39 equals 156. So algebraically, you would just divide both sides by 39. And you have X equals 156 over 39. You could reduce that down by dividing both the top and the bottom by 13, the greatest common factor, and you get 12 over 3. And so that reduces down to just 4. And 4 that's a decimal, so that's 4.00. All right. So to convert it into a percent, you would just multiply by 100, which is the same as moving the decimal place over by 2. And so this should equal a 400%, okay, increase. And I think I'm actually answering a different question than they're asking here. What percent of 39 kilometers is 156? No, it's 400%. Okay, so yeah. So here's how you can say this. 156 is 400% of 39. So that's how you would say that in English. I love these problems because they're kind of tricky. right? You got to think through what the question is asking you for. All right. So how would we do this in Google Sheets? Question number 4. What percent of 39 kilometers is 156 kilometers? So we'll say original value 39, new value 156, and then you want to say what percent. Let's make sure we actually read what they want us to find. What percent of 39 is 156? Aha. So, what percent of old value is new value? All right, so what do we do? In this case, we're going to take the new value and divide by the old value. Gives us 4. So let's do this. Convert that to a percent. And you see it's 400%. Remember, you can put this all in borders to make it look nice. All right. Very good. So if you've gotten this far, you're really getting good at Microsoft or Google Sheets and Microsoft Excel. Just go through and make these bold. All right. Remember to start your formulas on Google Sheets with that equals sign. Otherwise, you're going to have trouble. Okay. Now we're moving on to the final part of this where we work in the real world problems, percent problems with taxes, discounts. So this is where all this stuff about Google Sheets has really been coming into play. So in the real world, you'll sometimes have a coupon for some percent off grocery items or a limited time offer to buy a car for some percent less. These pricing schemes are called discounts. Make sure you add tax. So the general formula for discounts with tax would be the original price this is a discount, so we would say less or minus the discount, and then you would add tax. Okay, and so that's original price less discount plus tax, and this gives you the final price. So that's how you do those problems in a general sense. Let's look at a real example. Oh, okay. So before we look at the example, we'll talk about markups. In the real world, sometimes the price of something rises, such as the value of a house or the price of a t-shirt. These are called markups. In most real world cases, you must add tax to know the true total. General formula for markups with tax. All right, so here's an example, or here's the general formula. You have the original price and now we're marking up, so it's plus the markup rate. And then you have to add tax, plus tax. And this gives you the final price. Here's an example of a discount. You find a Brookshire's coupon for 25% off a box of Golden Grams. You go to the store and find that the tag price is $3.75. The tax rate is 8.25% in Texas. How much will you have to pay for the cereal at the register? So remember, we start with the original price. The original price was $3.75. Remember, for discounts, we subtract the coupon rate. So here's how you do that. The coupon was 25% off, right? So you would take 3.75 times 0.25. Okay, well, that's some number, right? And then you have to add tax. Okay, so we'll call this value X for now. Tax will be 0.0825, which is the tax rate as a decimal, times X. Okay, so this looks a lot better when we actually do it in Google Sheets. And we'll call this Y. So your final price is equal to 3.75, the original price, minus X plus Y. Okay, so this is where learning Google Sheets is really going to help us do all this little intermediate computations. So let's go to Google Sheets. Here's question number 5. We're going to let Google Sheets do all of our work for us. So this is the original price of Golden Grams. It was $3.75. So the coupon rate is 25%, right? All right, so now let's go down here and put the tax rate. The tax rate is 8.25%. So down in this cell right here, what we want to do is we want to say equals 25% times the original price of the cereal. Okay, so that's right there. That's 25% of $3.75. Now we'll fix this in a second. All right, so now what we have to do is we have to add, or rather subtract, this coupon rate from the original price and multiply that result by 8.25. So we'll do that in this cell right here. Equals, right, open parentheses, the original price minus the coupon value, okay, will give us that subtotal. All right, here, I want to do it this way. We'll say the subtotal before tax. And then we'll say tax rate here, 8.25%. All right. It's going to look a lot better if I convert all this into money. So you highlight what you want to convert into money, and you go up here and you click this button to turn it into money. This will make it look better. All right, so just follow my reasoning here. Here's your original price of the cereal, $3.75. 25% off, that's minus, okay, 94 cents. So the subtotal before tax is $375 minus 94 cents, $2.81. We have to add tax to that. So how do you find out what the tax is? Well, you just take the subtotal and multiply it by the tax rate. So the tax is going to be 23 cents. So if you're at the register, you're going to have to pay. This is the final price at register. You're going to have to pay that subtotal plus the tax. So your total after tax, your post-tax checkout amount, what you have to pay is $3.04. That is so cool. That is so cool. You can click this one here under tax rate here, and you can do underline. And then your final price at the register, your final price at the register can also be underlined. The way I'm underlining is I'm holding down Control and hitting U. Of course, when I'm zoomed in like this, it messes it up. Okay, so Control U. All right, there we go. Okay. Very, very cool. This is real world math right here. So definitely want to put all these in like a little border. Once you get into these borders, this can get really fun because let's say you have item, rate, total. So let's put these in borders as well. I'll show you something cool you can do here. Put them in borders. And now you can actually change the color here. Like you can make go over here, fill color, change that to orange. And then you can change the text color to white. Let's see what that makes it look like. See down here now it's formatted a little bit differently. And you can highlight these and make them bold. You can even center them to make them look nice. You can align, center. And you just do little things to make your spreadsheet look nicer and nicer. All right. Okay. Well, this is really fun. I love this stuff. So this is like accounting almost, or like home economics. And these problems, these last couple of problems here are really why I'm trying to teach you this. This is like real world stuff that you will definitely encounter in the real world. Okay, so now we'll do this markup example. This will be our final thing that we do here. So you bought a house for $125,000. You want to sell it for 50% more than you paid for it. Capital gains tax rate's 30%. Buyer shows up. The buyer's going to pay the capital gains tax. How much money will the buyer need to give you? Okay. So, whoops. So what's going on here is the original price is $125,000. Okay. Now your markup is 50%. Okay, so we'll say price before tax will be the original price, we'll call that OP, plus the markup, MU. So then there's the taxes. Remember, the tax rate is 30%. So you take this right here and you multiply it by 30%. So you take the price before tax, we'll call that before tax, price before tax times 30% as a decimal would be 0.3. Okay, and then you add that back, right? So then the final price is equal to the price before tax times 0.3 plus that before tax price. Okay, I know it looks confusing on paper, but we'll do it in the spreadsheet, makes it a lot easier. So let's go to the spreadsheet and let's make a new thing here. We're going to call this question 6. Okay, so we're going to do item, rate, total. The original price of the home. Okay, there's no rate with that. It was $125,000. Okay. And your markup that you want is going to be 50%. So we'll have here original price plus markup. That'll be our next thing. And then we have tax, which the tax rate is 30%. And so we have original price, put it to you this way. We can call this original price plus markup the subtotal before tax. All right. The tax rate is 30%. So now we have the final price is equal to the subtotal before tax plus taxes. So let's go to work. So now we have the original price of the home is $125,000. We're going to multiply that original price times our markup. Okay, so we're marking the home up $62,500. So now we have to add those two things together. Think about what you're doing. Think about real world. So the price you're going to list it for is $187,500 in order to get a 50% profit. Now the buyer is going to pay the taxes. So we need to know what those taxes are. So we'll take that subtotal, multiply that by the tax rate. So the taxes on the gains that you're going to make will be $56,250. Wait, the tax on the gains, that's not quite right. So hang on a second. So we only want to tax the gains, not the whole price. Let me clear this out. So here's how you do these taxes. All right. So you take the price that you're going to sell the home for, you subtract the price you paid for it, and that'll give you your profit before tax. And now you're going to multiply that by the tax rate. That makes more sense. Okay, so once again, let's go over this. You're going to tax your markup. So that's equals 62,500 times 30%, gives you the taxes. And so your final price will be that subtotal plus the taxes. So what the guy's going to have to pay you is $187,500 plus $18,750. All right, let's convert all this to money. Really cool. All right. I did it again. All right. Here we go. Here we go. I'm just formatting all this. This is a really cool example because this is like what you might actually do when you're trying to figure out how to sell your house. Here we can format this to be kind of better looking. Let's color it, I don't know, blue, and then we'll color the text white again. Neat. Okay. So this is a real world example of what you would do if you were actually trying to sell a house, and you can do this in Google Sheets. Google Sheets is free. You can create a Gmail account once you get out of school, and you can do this all on your own. And we're gonna be focusing heavily on Google Sheets as we go forward, because STAR test is great. The STAR test it teaches mathematics. It's kind of like teaching classical mathematics, and that's fine. But it's not what you're going to probably be doing every day, like analyzing an inequality. There's a great kind of abstract fun to doing that, but this concrete stuff is what we need to focus on. So let's look at our assignment before we close out. Do your Kuda Works practice and mastery assessments this week on paper and in Google Sheets. What do I mean on paper? I mean, kind of like I did in these problems. I just jotted down kind of my game plan here. Didn't necessarily work anything out. And then I did the computational part. I let Google Sheets actually do the work. All right, because nobody's sitting around with a piece of paper doing this. They're going to use a spreadsheet. So I want you to make sure you name these Google Sheets and using your last name, comma, first name, percent change practice assessment, and then the date. When you get that done, go into Kuda Works, do the assignment. Okay, you still have to do the assignment in Kuda Works, but you're kind of showing your work, so to speak, on Google Sheets. Okay, so this document right here, if this was the homework, this is what you would turn into me. Now, this will be shared, this will be stored rather in your drive. Okay? If you want to share it with me, you can just attach this file by clicking on the Google Drive symbol. You just attach this file to the assignment in Google Classroom. Okay? And if that doesn't work, if you can't figure out how to attach this file, there's going to be a button up here that says share. Okay? And so you can actually share this with me by typing in my email address. See, and it'll pop up and you can share it with me. That is not really, I don't want you to do it that way. I want you to attach it to the assignment in Google Classroom. But if all else fails, you can share that with me. You might have to share it with me anyway, but I think you'll just be able to attach it. So I know this is a lot, but I hope you're starting to notice, hey, this might be a lot of work, but I'm going to get something out of this that actually helps me in my future. So there's going to be a little bit growing pains here. And I know just from having done this before, I know that at first this won't seem easy. Okay, you're going to probably forget to put that equal sign. And if you get into Google Sheets and you can't make it work, make sure you're starting with that equal sign. You have to put the equal sign before you start doing your calculating. All right? Also, be careful with your parentheses. And most of all, remember, guys, this is all in good fun. I'm trying to teach you something useful here. I don't want you to get frustrated and scared and nervous. So what I'm looking for here is an attempt. I'm looking for an effort to try to do this. And I'm also looking for you to be self-advocates. I want you to reach out and ask for help if you don't understand what I'm asking you to do. And I will help you. I will be available all week and every week. Basically, as you all know, 24/7, 365 to help you. So just ask your parents to call me, send me a message on Remind, send me an email, get in touch with me, and let me know how I can help you. I can either do a Zoom tutorial with you, or I can remote into your computer and show you how to do this. And if you don't already have a computer, you're going to want to get some kind of a computer, or at the very minimum, a tablet with an attached keyboard to do this. because I would not want to do any of this work on a phone. I really wouldn't. So let me put it to you this way. If you don't have a computer, get in touch with me, get in touch with Mr. Nettles, and one of us will get you on a list to get one of our Chromebooks, because you would really going to need a Chromebook to do this. So if you have none of that and you can't get it this week, no worries. Just do the work on paper, and that'll be your turn-in, okay, for your work. You can just take pictures of it and attach that to the Google Classroom assignment instead of doing it in Google Sheets. But I really want you to use Google Sheets. That's kind of the whole purpose of this assignment. Well, thank you very much. Guys, I really appreciate this. And I know this was kind of a lot to throw at you, but again, I hope this helps. I actually hope this helps you in your real life. Thanks for watching.